seen those coding boot camps. They promise to make you a developer in just 12 weeks. But is that even possible? It sounds like a scam. If it's true, then why do people even go to university? So let me get this right. I can spend 7 to 10 grand to become a developer in 3 months, essentially 1 semester of college, then come out to make 6 figures? No way. That sounds too good to be true. Well, hold on. As someone that has a bachelor's degree and as someone that has also completed a full-stack developer bootcamp, I can tell you that these bootcamp programs are no gimmick. Believe it or not, these bootcamp programs are for real. They aren't as easy as you think. In order for these programs to work, they have to cover a wide array of technologies, a ton of stuff in a short period of time. That means these programs are intense. Remember back in high school or college when you had finals coming up or when you had some paper or project due? That week leading up, yeah, that got pretty intense, right? Now imagine sustaining that level of intensity for 12 straight weeks. And oh yeah, that last 2 weeks, let's just say the intensity ratchets up because you'll need to build and present a fully functioning application when you may not have had any experience just a few weeks prior. So is it for you? That's really the million-dollar question. So let me give you a high-level overview of what to expect comparing traditional education to these boot camps. Typically, students with bachelor's degrees tend to have a greater depth of knowledge. They understand more of the theory, the background, why things work the way they work. There's simply no getting around it. 4 years is more time than 12 weeks. But students that come out of these accelerated boot camps, well, they can code. It makes sense, doesn't it? In a university, they're going to teach you the history of the internet, that it originated from ARPANET, a government program, for example. You'll probably learn about the history of computers and the birth of TCP/IP, which is the standard protocol for internet traffic. You may be in school for a year or more before you actually dig into programming. And when you do finally code, what are they going to be teaching you? Whatever it is, it won't be the current technology. No university in the world can keep up with the speed of technology. Meanwhile, if you go into a boot camp, you'll code on your first day. No one cares about the history of the internet or whatever. You're there to learn coding. Day 1 will go something like this. HTML is a text-based language used by web browsers. Let's build our first web page. An hour later, CSS is a way to template the look and feel of your websites. Let's use HTML and CSS to build a site that looks like Instagram. Yeah, really. It's that fast. So in bootcamp, you will code. You'll follow directions at first. You won't really know the why or the how, but you will build. After all, this is where your real learning comes from, through trial and error and frustration. And while you may go to class for an hour a day, 3 days a week at a university, bootcamps are more like 3 hours a day, 3 days a week, not to mention the additional 3 to 4 hours on your off days just to get work done. When I said it was intense, I meant it. 50% of the students dropped out within the first month when I attended. So what did we learn? A lot. And oh, by the way, we learned all of the current technologies, things being used in the real world. I don't want to go too far into the weeds, but we learned HTML, CSS, and React for the front end. We built backends using Java and Python. We connected things together through APIs that we built using Flask that ultimately connected to databases. We learned tons of stuff. Basically, by the time we finished the course, we could build scaled-down versions of Facebook or Reddit or IG. Our actual coursework was to build clones of things like Airbnb and YouTube. So if you start at ground zero in a university, you start at level 3 in a boot camp. At the boot camp, they'll tell you where to go, use this, download that, configure this. They call it a boilerplate. You download the boilerplate and you're off to the races. It essentially has everything you need to get going. You really don't know the what or the why or the how, but through using the boilerplate, you learn all the technologies contained within it. One of my early hurdles for the bootcamp was the cost. Was it worth the price? 7 to 10 grand is a lot of money. At the time, I was already in the industry. I already had my bachelor's degree. I was making a good living as a senior DevOps engineer, but I wanted to increase my skill set. I had coding skills, but I wanted to level up. Still though, that 7 to 10 grand tuition was a lot. But fast forward a bit, within a few months after completing the program, I was able to land a job making $20K more per year, every year, and it's increased significantly since then. So yeah, that $7,000 to $10,000 investment into my education paid me back, and then some. But not to diminish anything, when I got my bachelor's degree, I was happy and excited. I was able to parlay that degree into a job with a pay increase. But it was more like the degree was a checkbox. Now that I had the degree, companies could offer me career-type positions. It didn't feel like they hired me due to any knowledge I picked up in school. Whereas when I completed the boot camp, people were interested in me because of my skills. It's difficult to explain, but it felt like the degree was for everyone else while the boot camp was for me. All things considered, would I choose one over the other if I were starting today? Yeah, I'd probably go the boot camp route. But it's not that simple. You have to understand that you're not going to come out of boot camp making 6 figures a year. Maybe there's some exceptions out there, but I don't know any. You can't forget that 12 weeks of boot camp doesn't replace years of experience. Even in a university, you come out with 4 years of material to discuss during an interview. But if you compare the two, pay the 10 grand for the boot camp, knock it out in basically 1 semester, get a job as a junior developer making 50 to 70K or so, and then you're in the workforce picking up skills while the college student is enjoying their summer break. Fast forward 3.5 years, when the college student graduates, how far along do you think that boot camp graduate will be? As a boot camp graduate working in the industry for 3.5 years or so, I'm pretty sure you'll be past that 6-figure mark. And that college student, sure, on day 1, they'd have a greater grasp of the industry as a whole, but that's compared against a 12-week boot camp graduate. How do you think that compares to a boot camp graduate after 3.5 years of experience? Never mind the financial and economic conditions. 10 grand for a 12-week boot camp is a lot, but how much does a bachelor's degree cost? There's simply no comparison. But don't just take my word for it. You have to consider all of the factors around your particular situation. That's not to say that one path is right and the other path is wrong. The question was, are boot camps worth it? In my opinion, I'd say yes. But don't expect it to be a magic bullet. Boot camps are tough. You will need to spend a significant amount of time both in and out of class learning the material. Then, if and when you graduate, you'll be capable of an entry-level or junior developer position. It's up to you to push the envelope to see where those skills take you. But that's only one path to achieving success in technology. A lot of people ask me, what about certificates? Should I get a tech certificate? Watch this video where I talk about that specific topic.